and welcome to UAT Time within the United Countries Special by First Ukraine. You can find us on the frequencies available on our website, firstua.com. I'm Sergey Velichanskiy.
And I am Olivier Vedrine. UAT Time is dedicated to bring Ukraine and Europe closer to each other by introducing the real Ukraine to the rest of the world.
On February 19th, the Continental European Union Club was formed, and one of the first plans is to write a report on Minsk agreements. Some of the leading Russian oppositioners have become a part of this think tank.
Our guest today is Volodymyr Polyovyi, national security expert.
Volodymyr, as far as I know, you are part of the forming body of this organization, of this club. Actually, Olivier, you too.
Yeah.
I saw you on that picture. You didn't just accidentally happen to be there. So now I want you, friends, tell us what this is and what are the purposes.
Okay, first of all, good day for you. And the second, that me and Olivier discussed this problem for years, for more than 1 year. And finally, this February, we decided to create something more than just a token. Okay. And the European Union Club was formed. It includes also experts from the Maidan of Foreign Affairs, the representatives from Russian opposition, and the main thing, the core point of this club is the common European values, such as democracy, human rights, responsibility, and so on.
Yeah.
Yes,
to share the value. You know, this is to increase the value of the European values of our philosophers and, like, democracy, human rights, solidarity, freedom.
Is this just one of many different clubs, and you will have together and over the glass of beer you'll discuss the values, or what's the purposes? What are you going to do?
First,
yes.
Can you imagine? We opened this club in Kyiv.
Okay.
With Ukrainian and Russian opposition.
Now name who is part of it. That's not a secret.
Ilya Ponomarev.
Okay.
Olga Kornitsova.
Yes.
Our friend from Ruski Monitor, Fedor Klimenko.
Klimenko.
Volodymyr Polyovyi. Alexander Kara.
Okay, Maidan Foreign Affairs. Right.
Then, can you imagine in Kyiv, in the situation of Ukraine, with the war in Donbass, we opened a club with a Russian opposition and Ukrainian to talk together about European values.
Okay.
That was not very easy, to think about that at first. Okay.
All right.
Second point, why we are opening now this club? Because of the 1-year birthday of the Minsk agreement, the second one.
Okay, so it was pretty much that.
Everybody can see that this Minsk agreement is impossible to implement.
No. We'll come back to that. We definitely.
That was one of our first motivation.
Okay, so pretty much that sparkled the idea that you need to unite, but okay, so I'm trying to get you to answer a question. You formed this organization, a club, which you extend invitations to others, as far as I see, right?
Yeah.
To join. Okay, so not just to discuss, the values, but probably to take some actions to unite in some...
Look at every member of this club has a personal, very large media network. Okay. A large part of our members, they wrote articles, they gave and are still giving interview. They are famous or well known in their activities.
Okay.
Then that was interesting because we know that if they tomorrow will talk about their club in some interview, that's good publicity. And we also we want to use this network for our issues. That means we are writing now a report about Minsk. Okay. And in 10 days, around 10 days, we will present this report to the journalists,
Okay.
But
to our network.
I want to add some points. First of all, it was very strange for us that we really have the common values with, for example, our Russian colleagues.
Okay.
Why? Because the Russian Empire as a project is totally opposite force to the whole European values, to the whole kind of European unions. Or if you want to say, Olivier like to say European Union, European Continental Union, for example, as another form of European Union. Yes, and it was our weak point how to discuss this problem with Russians. Yes, but we saw that they support that the main force which stays on the road to the closer relation between Europe and Russia, it is this Russian Empire project. And when we came over this point, it was easy to discuss another kind of cooperation. For example, the relation between Russia and Ukraine concerning the Minsk agreement. And that is why our first point and our first report is dedicated to this problem.
All right. So before we move on, I want to let you know that we are on Facebook. So you can find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/UAT time. So find us and tell us what you think about the topics that we discussed. Thank you for being with us. Now, Minsk. Actually, it is a year. And why do you think, the recent report of the president pretty much shows a success of Minsk agreements, though he does admit that not everything is quite there where he wants it to be. But as far as I feel, you say that it is even more, probably, it is more failure than success. So that's
The
your
question
floor.
is why?
The floor is yours.
Okay. Yes, you are totally right that our club thinks that the Minsk agreement is more failure of Ukraine foreign diplomacy than a success. Why? Because if we look at this problem from the third camera point, yes, we see that it is just a trap for Ukraine, which was created by Putin. Because if we implemented all points of this agreement, Ukraine will lose its integrity, its united status, and became a federalist state with heavy decentral tendencies, yes, with movement decentral from the center to the region. And in the circumstances when we had such aggressive neighbor as Russia, which occupied part of our territory, the Ukraine became even not a federalist state, but a confederate of states. One of them will be, for example, Donbas region. And this agreement forces us to change our constitution, to sign the special status law, the law on special status of Donbas, the law on special election on Donbas, the law of amnesty of all people which involved, which took part in these terrorist attacks involved, and so on. This is all unlegal, unconstitutional changes to our legislation.
Yeah.
And for example, I wrote an article, and this article will be published in Open Russia this week about Minsk. And I say, I think it's point 4, for the organization of the election in Donbass.
And control of the border.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, you have to organize election, and only after the election you will take the control of your border.
The election under the occupation.
Yeah. That's impossible.
No, it is. That's definitely.
And that was put in the Minsk agreement to stop the process.
And that is why one of the goals of this club is to deliver another messages to the public, that Minsk is not a decision. Minsk is just a tactic instrument to stop the violence on the east, but not the decision in our relation with Russia.
The solution.
And this is the tactic to freeze the conflict. To freeze the conflict.
Well,
probably
I could say that the President Poroshenko was in somewhat right that the violence and the fury of what happened, you know, especially in the, you know, pretty much in all the 2014. Yes, it did change somewhat the dynamics of war, right? The Minsk agreements, but it, as you said, it's not a solution. All right. Now, your report. What's it gonna cover? Will it cover the influence, the results of the Minsk agreements? Will it cover? Will it have? Or will it contain the resolutions and some advice or
some advices, yeah.
Some future
in the conclusion
suggestions?
Yes, of course.
Of course. The historical background of this agreement, the criticism on this agreement, the conclusions, and it could be the place from which our president could start another round of negotiations with Russia, even in another format, not in Normandy format, but for example in Geneva format or in more likely Budapest format.
All right.
And you know, if we want to talk about Minsk agreement, we have to think also that this agreement was signed by Poroshenko, and because also Ukraine, for this signature, had the pressure of the Western country and the pressure of Russia, and that was very difficult to Ukraine and for the Ukrainian government to say no to the signature of these agreements, of those agreements, because we are talking about Minsk I and Minsk II. And you know, in this I can say in these agreements, we can see that Ukraine had no choice. No choice were given to Ukraine. Only the choice to sign this agreement.
The question that a lot of people ask, first of all, why such delegates like Medvedchuk and Kuchma? Why nobody else?
Are representing Ukraine on this negotiation.
Yes.
You know, it is one interesting thing. There is a text, the body of this agreement, and it is a memorandum of the presidents who signed this document. And there are two different documents. And the text, the body of this agreement, was negotiated in the format of so-called trilateral contact group.
Yes.
So our president has found the person who could be the contact person with the opposite part. And from many points of view, Viktor Vedrine could be this contact person. And that is why it was in our delegation in Minsk.
Yes, but with his favors of Russia, with his relationships with Putin himself.
Yeah, with Putin himself.
That doesn't sound like a logical, move on our part.
Yeah, I agree. But there are some subcommittees in this trilateral contact group, and Medvedchuk takes part only in so-called humanitarian bloc, which concerned by the problem of the
refugees and people in the conflict zone.
Yes.
Okay.
The main point, the main issues are discussed in the political group in which Volodymyr Grubulin, Roman Bersmertny are represented.
Okay.
And they are so-called dinosaurs of our politics.
Okay.
And that is why they strongly support our foreign policy and their directives which they received from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or from the administration.
And also why we choose to write a report about Minsk. This is because if you go to internet and if you see some analysis of Western experts, because I saw that in some analysis of Western experts, a lot of them, they are talking about Minsk III. Minsk III. That now that's mean slowly and slowly we are talking about Minsk III. That's why also we choose to do this report about Minsk I and Minsk II, because we are talking about Minsk III.
Okay, now I have heard of suggestions of reforming the format completely now, and you mentioned a potential, an idea of reformation. So what do you think? How should it look? There's definitely, hopefully, the only solution to the problems is negotiations, and it has to be successful negotiations. We need to take back our territory. We need to have Crimea back. We need to have all the compensations paid to the destruction that took place and to the families that suffered. All that package. How can we achieve that? Or what could be the first steps?
Yeah, I think you will talk about that also. We want not to isolate Minsk agreement from other Russian conflicts. That means
facts of occupation.
Yeah,
for example, we are talking about the Crimea.
Okay.
We are talking about the Moldova, Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia.
Okay.
South Ossetia.
Yes, South Ossetia.
Okay.
And we are talking about the European Union and United States and other countries' sanction against Russia, which depends on the implementation on Minsk right now. But we want to change this view to the point of the Russian occupation of Crimea, of the Russian forces on Donbas region.
And we want to put Crimea in our report.
Okay.
Because in the Minsk agreement, they don't talk about Crimea.
That's what I thought. It doesn't sound doesn't sound logical. So basically, the opposite diplomacy was successful to put it separately.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, all right, so don't touch Crimea. It's pretty much solved issue, but we don't want to settle for that, right?
And that is why it is so important that the representatives of the Russian opposition are in our club. And their point of view that the prolongation of the European Union sanction against Russia supports the opposition, the democracy changes in Russian Federation.
Okay.
So they totally support the idea of the sanction on the on that point that I mentioned, such as Crimea, the occupation, the Russian forces on Donbass, and so on.
And that's why we want to talk about the Minsk agreement, because the Minsk agreement is like a link between all those problems, sanction, also conflict, other conflict like Abkhazia, South Ossetia, Transnistria in Moldavia. And Minsk agreement can be, to work on this report, to do this report, that's good example to show how the Russian diplomacy is going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good luck on that. Hopefully, it's going to be a good roadmap for those politicians and those government officials that they're searching for new ideas, fresh ideas.
That's why,
reshape that.
That's why we are very happy to have Ukrainian experts and also Russian experts and also Maidan for Foreign Affairs. Because we know that when we will present this report, that will have an impact. Because the person who are working now in this report are serious, Maidan for Foreign Affairs, Ilya Ponomarev, our friend Volodymyr.
Well, you've got some good dinosaurs there. Some good influence. Well, yes, definitely. I mean, from the good point, I'm talking about people that have made some major statements and that have done. They're not just talking.
That's why I say to you that they have some link with the media, that they wrote articles, they wrote books, they are well known, they are famous.
Well, but even without that, articles and books, it's in the area of
it's very academic, but
yes, but what I'm talking about, Ilya Ponomarev was the only one that didn't vote. Okay, we know that. Olga Kurnosova was the one that organized some major protests in St. Petersburg. And you guys, the Maidan of Foreign Affairs. So, like some people of action, which is good. So, besides the Minsk agreements, can you maybe jot down a couple of other ideas that you might consider?
Oh yes. Yes, we have the project to work on the propaganda.
All right.
Yeah, counter-propaganda. Yes, and what is amazing is that the subject of the counter-propaganda was given by the Russian opposition. They asked us to work on the Russian propaganda.
Well, I mean, that's where UAT time comes in.
That's
so
amazing.
Let's work together. Okay, well, time is up, and we need to move on with the plans, and good luck on that.
Thank you. Right. Thank you very much.
It was United Country UAT time by First Ukraine. Our guest was Volodymyr Polyovyi, national security expert.
Olivier Vedrine and Sergey Velichanskiy were working for you in the studio. Stay with us and we will show to you the real Ukraine.
Thank you for being with us. Have a good day and see you soon.